and we've got Emily with us, who is representing the Douglas RNLI, and we've also got Carey and David with us, who are from Roc Vannin, who are one of the acts that are performing. But David has a foot in both camps, because David is also involved with the RNLI, and actually we were just finding out off air there is quite the landmark coming up, isn't there, David?
Well, there is indeed. In 2024, it will be the bicentenary of the Royal National Lifeboat Institution, which, of course, was founded by Sir William Hillary, resident not too far from this studio,
down the road,
and built the Tower of Refuge that we can see from here. So in conjunction with the head office of the RNLI in Poole, we're discussing what events might take place in 2024. And because of the William Hillary connection, the whole national celebration of the bicentenary will have a heavy focus on the Isle of Man. So that's something that we're starting working on already. And certain ideas are in the melting pot. And we'll see what comes out the other end in a couple of years' time. But it'll actually start, I think, in August of 2023 and run to September of 2024.
Has anybody volunteered to spend the night on the Tower of Refuge with a tin of beans?
Well, I can put your name down and you can be top of the list.
I think you should. I think, I'm
well
all for
that.
Christy going out there with a tin of beans. Yeah.
But then I'd have to be rescued,
I'll have to have
obviously.
a word of Ollie at the Douglas Corporation. He'll risk assess it for us.
Right, Ollie, you're on. See if you can make it happen for us. I'll broadcast live. I think Terry Kringle once did that, didn't he?
I think he did, many moons ago, probably in a different era. And of course, people do sometimes walk out, have those organised walks. I've never been. Have you?
Yes, I have actually, and I won't go into that story.
What about you, David? You've actually been out there at all?
Well, I have, yeah. Unfortunately, this year's Welly Walk was a casualty of COVID, because it was going to take place on the bank holiday in May, when we were all still not allowed out. So, it obviously has to coincide with the right tides, and there was a sponsorship from a sort of military organisation, so it fitted in with the, whatever it would be, 75th anniversary of
VE Day.
VE Day,
Yeah.
That's right.
And we're talking today about a fundraiser that is happening next week for the RNLI. And so, Emily, obviously, this is an organisation that requires funds. I'm sure, as we heard before this hour with those other charities, I'm guessing that you were also impacted somewhat by lockdown and not being able to raise money.
We absolutely were. Obviously, like many organisations, all fundraising activities face-to-face with members of the public had to come to an end. And we were actually the first here on the Isle of Man. We had the first face-to-face fundraising for the RNLI after lockdown, because obviously the island was in that enviable position that we could do things that they maybe couldn't do in England. And I think the Ramsey branch of the RNLI shop was the first one to reopen following COVID. So we've had a tough summer, but hopefully by getting some more events in between now and the end of the year, we'll pick things back up again.
And this one, I think, is bound to be popular. There's a bit of something for everyone, do you reckon?
Absolutely. There's lots of different groups. So hopefully everybody will enjoy some of what's going on, and hopefully they'll enjoy all of it.
And this is happening at Ballacomene Studio Theatre next Saturday, so not tomorrow night, but next Saturday. And we'll come to the music in just a moment. But with regards to the fundraising side of it then, what sort of figures does something like the RNLI have to raise on the Isle of Man each year to be able to actually do what you do? Because it's quite the service that the RNLI provides.
It's very difficult to get Isle of Man specific figures, but the running costs for the RNLI are around £3 million a week for the UK. 3 million a week, 156 million a year, roughly. They're going through a sort of replacement of all the boats, which is done sort of routinely, but the different classes of boat come to the end of their operational life. So the Mersey class are coming to the end of their operational life. So Peel have had their new Shannon, which obviously arrived in just before lockdown.
Yeah,
I think they were one of the last things to sort of happen. Ramsey are due a Shannon, and Douglas will be due one as well. So, each of those boats is over £2 million plus any shore works to the boat houses, which would need doing. And that's just 3 of the stations, and they've got well over 200 stations around the British Isles.
And then presumably the crew members, when a new boat arrives, they have to be trained up on the new vessel.
Absolutely. So I think they say the annual cost of training a crew member is around £1,500 per crew member, and each lifeboat station will have around 20 to 25 crew members. And obviously, if a new boat's coming, then every part of it will be new, and will, you know, the training costs suddenly increase just to get us au fait with the new boat.
So, I tell you what, I was just going to say, I don't know about you, Christy, it always amazes me. It's such part and parcel of life now for us, the RNLI. You just assume that if you get into trouble at sea, no matter what the time of day or the conditions, someone will come out and rescue, and that someone will be the boys and girls of the RNLI.
Mm-hmm.
And yet they're all volunteers, and it's all paid for out of charitable donations and legacies, which you just, when you stop and think about it, you think that is amazing.
It is. Every penny counts, obviously, which is why events like this one that's happening next week are so important. And we mentioned the music because it's being described as, I love this, an evening of eclectic music, which is fab. And it is, because we've got everything from Manx voices and Matt Kelly and the Fecktones, who we're going to hear a little bit from a little bit later on. And as we mentioned, Roc Vannin. And Carey Chung's with us now as well. And speaking of Roc Vannin, which you and David are both part of, just tell us a little bit about the choir then. How long have you been together?
Well, we started about 7 years ago as Roc Vannin. Previously to that, there was Rock Choir that Christy Barton started. But unfortunately, after a couple of years, she had to walk away from it because of ill health. So we were all enjoying it so much, we decided we'd carry on doing it, and that's where Roc Vannin came from. So we started looking for musical directors because none of us had those skills, and we've had some great musical directors through the years. Louisa Thomas, Lindsay Rowe, of course, and now we've got David Holland and Johnny Barlow. So
terrific. How would you? So, if someone had not heard Roc Vannin before, how would you describe the music?
Wow, that's a good one. Fun, I would say. I like to think, and from the comments we get from people, they see that we have a good time singing it. I mean, you don't have to be the best singer in the world to be in Roc Vannin. We're more interested in people who are going to enjoy themselves and enjoy the actual performances and the songs and the music that we do.
And so, David, give us an idea of some of the songs that you enjoy singing from the repertoire.
Well, I mean, they're all, modern songs. Well, I consider them to be modern. Some are getting a bit modern.
Bit too modern.
Post-1950s.
We're currently learning Foo Fighters and The Killers, which is it's a bit
and Kings of Leon.
It's a bit modern for me in some respects. But, I probably my favourite of all is Mr. Blue Sky.
Oh, what a song.
Yeah. We have, on more seriously, we have had a couple of entries in the Guild. We managed to do an entry unaccompanied, a
longest
Billy Joel
time.
Number, the longest time. And, I suppose it wouldn't be out of place to do a plug. We certainly need more males in the choir.
Yes, please.
Yeah, so
Howard?
get in touch with Carey or anybody come along to 2nd Avenue Onken on a Monday night, and men in particular will be most welcome.
Could I say, please turn me over at the end of Mr. Blue Sky?
Yeah, is that going to be your only contribution?
Well, I don't know. I'd start small and work up.
I love the idea.
I could just
of you
stand there all evening, just say,
running in.
please turn me over at the end.
Yes, because that's definitely a male voice that's needed to sing it like that, isn't it, Howard? So this is going to be a fabulous event. So just a reminder, it's this 19th of September, so it's a week tomorrow. It's at the Ballacomene Studio Theatre. And what is the sort of format for the event then, Emily?
So it's quite an informal event, I suppose, and it's going to be two halves. So some people are going to perform in both the first and second halves. Others will just perform in one half. And there'll be a short interval where there will be refreshments, and there'll probably be a raffle. We like a raffle.
Yes, good old Manx raffle. That's what we need, isn't it? And how do people actually get tickets for this?
So you can get tickets in advance from me. My home telephone number is 627771, or they can just turn up on the night. But obviously, if we get full capacity, I don't want anybody to
Might
be disappointed.
Yeah. Especially if Howard's going to run in and say, please turn me over. No one wants to miss that.
I'll manage it for this one, for a future one. It's a thought, isn't it? It's worth bearing in mind.